Hey Byron, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So I want to start with your early childhood days. Where did you grow up?
Singapore.
Singapore. How were you like when you were growing up as a kid?
I was always the shortest, if not one of the top 3 shortest person in class for a very long time. I think back then I didn't realize I was an introvert until I studied on the term what introversion was. But I was always very naturally curious, but still the shortest in class. They were very strict parents. They were both working parents, both accountants. Looking back, they have always been supportive of a lot of things that I did and do now. Although, I've probably pissed them off so many times going against them, but at the end of the day, I think to them, my happiness is a lot more important. I was very ill one time when I was 9 years old. I was in 3rd grade or in Singapore, primary 3. And my parents being very strict, especially my dad, who never wanted me to ever skip a day of school, had to take me to the hospital because I just could not even stand up. I think I just had a very bad case of gastritis. So, went through the doctors, got medication, and I still remember, like, he did not even ask. He just carried me out from the doctors into the car and carried me home. And he's never done that. And because he never wanted me to skip class, he made sure I went to sleep, took medication and went to sleep. And he did. I woke up the next day and I was like, yeah, I gotta go to school. And then I realized he did all my homework. And not only that, he tried to copy my handwriting to make sure that it wasn't him, So he wanted me to have a perfect attendance. So that was the one thing that I will never, ever forget. Watching movies, that's something I did since I was young. I still remember when the first movie I saw was Star Wars Episode 4. That was my very first movie, I think, yeah. But back then, movie theaters weren't everywhere, so it was not very common. But I think that was something that triggered my natural curiosity as well, and I think a lot of imagination came from it, which led to a lot of reading. So a lot of reading of a lot of adventure books, I would call it, yeah. Playing a lot of stupid games, right? But looking back, they're actually pretty formative to who I am now.
How would you define happiness?
That's a very good question. You keep asking me loaded questions. I think happiness is when you can sleep at night, when you know that if something should happen, you won't have any regrets. At the same time, happiness is not just about your own self. It's also about seeing how someone else is happy. It's kind of hard to describe, but I think kind of like being around friends or family. Sometimes you might be with a conservative family, but it's that togetherness that brings out that happiness, even though you don't really show it. But you're glad that you're there. Yeah, it's really intangible. It's kind of hard to describe, but yeah, those are how we define happiness.
What did you want to become when you grew up, when you were a kid?
I wanted to be a pilot, shoot guns, be cool. But yeah, that was what I wanted to be. But then I got short-sightedness and that got in the way. Like I said, I was always the shortest in class, so there was no hope for me of ever becoming a pilot, because back then you had to be pretty tall to be a pilot. But really, I wasn't thinking all that much about what I wanted to become. I think I was always trying to not upset my parents that much, even though I was doing a lot of things to make them upset, hoping I could get good grades, but I really wasn't thinking all that far. Undergraduate, I studied the full program was the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, majoring in travel industry management at Hawaii Pacific University. I did that within 2.5 years, and then concurrently I was pursuing 2 graduate degrees towards the end of my bachelor or undergraduate program. So master's, I was pursuing Masters of Science and Information Systems, and also my MBA in finance. But then I think working full-time and trying to go to school full-time affected my workload and my personal life. So eventually I gave up on my Masters of Science in Information Systems towards my senior year. And then just finished my MBA in finance as well as a majoring in information systems. So I got 2 majors in my MBA.
Tell me about your lowest point in life.
Wow, I have a lot of low points. I think getting divorced was a low point in my life. Yeah. And I think also losing a lot of the wealth that I built during the financial crisis was a low point in my life. I think also losing some friends, over the years. And also I think not measuring up to expectations, either from my friends or family members or parents. Those things are always on my mind. Like I carry them with me. Yeah, but I think more as a learning lesson than anything else. Yeah.
What was the hardest lesson you had to learn?
The hardest lesson I had to learn. How to remind myself. Whenever I think everything is smooth sailing, I tend to develop blind spots. And I think that constant reminder that not everything is always 100% perfect, and to just kind of keep a lookout. I mean, it's not so much about doing something. It might be a relationship I'm in, or a business situation I'm in, or something that I'm doing. Just be on the lookout. Like if I think everything is, well with a friend, perhaps go say hi and then just have a chit chat and see how he's doing, So things like that. Yeah, just that occasional reminder once in a while to keep track.
Did you have any regrets?
Plenty. I think if I've lived a life without regrets, then I don't think I've lived at all. At least that's my philosophy. So I think regrets provide learning lesson. But then again, it also teaches us that there is no such thing as a time machine. We can only better ourselves, improve ourselves, but yeah, live with your regrets, learn from them.
Let's celebrate your triumphs for now.
Sure.
What is your proudest moment?
I think right about now, being interviewed. This was very last minute. So I just got called up, but I think a lot of things that I've done over the years have transpired to this. I think meeting up the right minds, the right people, being involved with partners at the right moment, and then the years of accumulated useless knowledge are now being utilized. You just never know when something's going to strike, and yeah, I think I'm proud of the fact that I was able to just keep pushing.
Do you live by any words of wisdom?
Wow. Probably not that many, and I think it's a combination of different things. So, borrowing from what one of my friends used to say, like if you're not thinking, either your wallet has to suffer or your body has to suffer.
What's next in your bucket list?
Traveling to the Maldives, jumping out of a plane. Going to both the North Pole and the South Pole. It's quite a few. Yeah, swimming with whale sharks. Yeah, quite a few.
What do you think Oz will bring value to you the most? Like, what are the few?
I think it's in the early stages of exploring, but I think what Oz has planned in the Philippines is pretty revolutionary, and the longer term plan is even more ambitious. but it's really coming from a sensible person or a group of people. And I was introduced to this by my lawyer slash advisor. And he's someone to be, trusted and very well respected, and comes with a wealth of knowledge. So when he says something, I pay attention. And I think you should have a few of such people in your life, no matter what you do. So digging a little deeper and also looking at the progression of Xctuality, a significant number of our team is in the Philippines. And a lot of what we're doing seem to be touching Philippines one way or another. And also with the growth plans that Oz has, I think it is in sync with what we're doing as a company. Not just in terms of the countries that I want to go into, but also the different elements, particularly with ESG and UN Sustainability Development Goals. So I think those things are very in line. So that's why I'm, trying to dig deeper to see how what other synergies are there.